Alright, today we're going to be changing the oil in my 2002 Ford F-250 Super Duty. This has the 5.4 liter V8 Triton engine in it. So it's very straightforward on this engine. It's actually really simple. So what I like to do is crack the oil cap just so it has air and the fluid will run out quicker. And then we will head down underneath and get to the business. Alright, so here's what you need to do this oil change. You need, supposedly, from what I've read and what the truck's manual says, 6 quarts of 5W30. I got synthetic oil for this truck. I just got the Ford brand Motorcraft oil for it. It's more expensive than some, but I just want to go better safe than sorry. So I got 6 quarts of 5W30 synthetic motor oil, and then I've got a Fram XG2 oil filter, and then Mountain Dew, because you got to stay fueled while you're doing this. So everything, I got this all at Walmart. It's a really good cheap place to get oil. The total was $43.07 for everything you need for an oil change, whereas if you had taken it somewhere to get it changed, it probably would have been closer to $100. So let's get to it. All right, so the next thing you're gonna want is something to lay on, so don't be jealous of my Spider-Man blanket. But this is the manual transmission version of this truck. It's got a 6-speed in it, so it'll look a little different if you have an automatic, but it should be pretty much the same thing. Got your oil filter there. Looks like previously they replaced it with a Fram PH2, which is one of the cheaper ones of this oil filter, but I got a more expensive one anyway. But you can see the oil plug there. I already loosened it, so it's ready to go. So what we're gonna do, you always want to have your oil pan a little farther away because it'll shoot out with some pretty good pressure. And so I wear gloves because otherwise I could just get super messy, because I like to be that way, I guess. So let's get this puppy out of here and get going on this. I might need my wrench. And I believe this is a 16mm wrench for this truck specifically. They're starting to come out just a little bit. Okay, still need my wrench. I don't want to drop this plug in the oil pan, so hopefully that won't happen. Alright, so here, the trick is to kind of have your hand above it, so when you pull it out, it doesn't run down your hand, but I'm kind of bad at it. This is very long. There we go. Still got it all over my hand. And that looks like a really nice design, so it just runs right onto your front end stuff. So there's the plug. Still managed to get it all over. But, you know, that's how it goes. Oh, I forgot to open the breather tube on that. So yeah, there it goes, draining her out. So that's why I wore gloves. So now we're gonna get this filter out of here, which is fairly easy. So let's get to it. Oh, focus. All right, so what we're gonna need for that oil filter is a tool like this, really simple, cheap tool. It basically just grabs the filter and you twist it off. If you really need to and you don't want to buy a tool and you know you have the right replacement and you won't need it, you can actually take a flathead screwdriver and hammer it through it and then just use that to spin it off. But I don't recommend that way. I have done it that way and I like that way because a lot of the time these are pretty hard to get to. So I am going to get this thing loosened. All right, so here's how this works. So basically, I'll show you here on this one on the ground. When it's flat, it's opened up, but as soon as you pull the handle, it tightens and then it cracks it open. So it basically just squeezes it and then loosens it. So this one, I've got it cracked for the majority of the way. So now it's kind of like a ratchet almost. You go back and forth. So now you just kind of got to go a little bit at a time because I don't have much room back here to really get to it to get a good spin. So this part may take a second, but it's not that big of a deal. So I'm gonna get this thing off instead of making you guys sit here and watch my shaky camera work. All right, so I got that filter off, and it had a lot more oil in it than I expected. So kind of got it all over my gloves, but you know, that's what they're for. I don't like that. That's dumb. They should have designed the drain plug to be somewhere else, but oh well. But yeah, so you can see there, that is where the oil filter goes on. So let's get this new one out and get it put on there. Okay, so I've got this filter off. I started putting it on just to see if the threads were the right size. They are. So the Fram XG2 works on the 2003 F-250 with the 5.4 V8 in it. Okay, so here's a really important step. I took the cap off of this little jug and I poured just a tiny bit into the lid, and we're gonna tap that and we're gonna put it on this seal, because these seals can get dried out and then it could start to leak. So you just get a little bit of oil on them, just putting it around this seal. You can use the old oil too, just to lubricate this. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm just using the new stuff because I'm up here where I get a better view than under the truck. So that's really important. That'll help a lot with taking it off too. It won't be so dry and stuck. So next we're gonna put that on, tighten it, and then we will be on to the filling part. Okay, so I've got this on. And the thing about oil filters is you do not want to over tighten it. So basically, as tight as you can get it with your hands, as tight as you're going to want it, as long as it looks like it's tight up top, and you can get it hand tight as tight as you can. Don't use tools to tighten it because it's going to make it really hard to get it off later. Also, don't forget to put your drain plug on before you fill it up, because that's not fun. So once you have your oil filter on tightly and your drain plug in and snug, you want to tighten it snug by hand. Don't crank down on it. Don't get it super tight. Don't use any hand or air tools or anything for that. Just hand tighten it snug. Now you're going to take your oil filler cap all the way off, and then you're going to get a funnel and put all 6 quarts in. Let it settle. Check it. If it needs a little bit more, add more. If it doesn't, you're good. And just keep an eye on it. As usual, check your oil, and that should be about it. Alright, I've got a funnel, and now it's time to start filling it up. So I just put the 1 quart jug in, just checking to make sure there's nothing leaking, even though I know it's all tight. Looks good. So, time. I've got the little one in there. It's all emptied out. So, now we'll get this big guy in there and check our oil level.